All right, let's dive into a story that spans 5 whole centuries, a story that's woven deep into the very fabric of India. We're going to unpack the history of Ayodhya, a journey of incredible faith, intense conflict, and finally, a landmark legal decision that changed everything. And it all came down to this one powerful sentence from India's Supreme Court back in 2019. The disputed land will be given to the Ram Mandir. This single verdict brought a legal end to one of the longest and most emotionally charged disputes in the country's history. But how on earth did we get here? What's the 500-year backstory of claims, confrontations, and court battles that led to that one final decision? Well, to really get it, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. Okay, let's rewind the clock. We're heading back to the 16th century, where the two foundational claims that would spark centuries of disagreement first took shape. This timeline really gives you a bird's-eye view. See, it all starts in 1528 with the building of the Babri Masjid. But look at the huge gaps in time, right? And then, suddenly, in the 20th century, things just explode. You've got idols appearing in 1949, the demolition in 1992, and then this rush of court verdicts leading all the way to the temple's consecration in 2024. So at the very heart of all this, you have two completely conflicting claims. On one side, there's the Hindu belief, right? The conviction that this exact spot is the birthplace of Lord Ram. On the other side, you have the historical record showing that in 1528, a guy named Mir Baqi, a commander for the Mughal Emperor Babur, built a mosque right there. For centuries, the claim was that this mosque was built right on top of a temple that had been destroyed. You know, for a long time, these two ideas kind of just existed side by side. But then things really started to heat up. And in the 20th century, a few key events just blew the whole thing up, turning it from a local dispute into a major national flashpoint. And then came the moment that changed everything. One night in December 1949, an idol of Ram Lala, that's the infant Lord Ram, just appeared inside the mosque's central dome. This was a huge moment. It fired up Hindu activists, the government locked up the site, and both sides filed lawsuits. The fight had officially moved into the courts. This all built up to its most tragic point on December 6, 1992. A huge crowd gathered in Ayodhya and tore down the Babri Masjid. The sources describe this as a truly sorrowful day in India's modern history. It led to widespread riots, intense communal tension, and terrible violence across the country. So, after the demolition, the whole focus shifted. The battle moved from the site itself into the judicial system. For the next few decades, this was going to be a fight fought entirely in the courtroom. In 2010, the Allahabad High Court tried to find a compromise. Their idea? Split the disputed land 3 ways. One part for the Hindu side, one for the Muslim side, and a third for a Hindu sect called the Nirmohi Akhara. But as you can probably guess, a solution that split the land satisfied absolutely no one. So everyone appealed, and the case went to the Supreme Court. And that brings us to the final chapter in this long legal saga. After years and years of hearings, on November 9, 2019, a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court delivered a unanimous final verdict. The goal was to finally bring closure. So the headline decision was this. The court gave the entire piece of disputed land to the Hindu side to build a Ram temple. The court's logic was based on evidence that suggested there was some kind of non-Islamic structure under the mosque and that Hindus had been worshipping at the site pretty continuously, which gave them a stronger claim to possession. But at the very same time, the court also made a move to provide restitution. It ordered the government to give a prominent 5-acre piece of land somewhere else in Ayodhya to the Muslim side so they could build a new mosque. And this part is absolutely crucial to understanding the judgment. While the court awarded the land for a temple, it also went out of its way to state that the demolition of the Babri Masjid back in 1992 was an illegal act. They called it a serious violation of the rule of law. So, with the legal battle finally in the rearview mirror, the Supreme Court's verdict paved the way for a brand new chapter to begin in Ayodhya, one that was all about construction and hopefully moving forward. After that verdict, things started moving and fast. By January 2020, a trust was set up to manage the temple construction. And just 4 years later, after a massive fundraising effort across the country, the consecration ceremony for the new temple took place on January 22, 2024. So when you step back and look at this whole 500-year story, what does it all represent? Well, the sources see it as a struggle defined by a lot of things. A conflict that lasted 5 centuries, a painful past where lives were lost, a legal battle that raged for over 70 years, the financial help of millions of people, and at the end of the day, a huge test of faith and patience for generations. And so, just like that, a 500-year chapter of Indian history has come to a close. The final question, I guess, is for all of us to think about. With the legal and historical disputes now settled on paper, what does this resolution actually mean for the future?